let's give a warm welcome to your host, Kahtide.
Hey everybody, what's going on there? Hello. Welcome to Coffee with Kahtide again, everybody. I'm Kahtide, your host. Thank you for tuning into our show today. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Coffee with Kahtide is a show where we discuss the most up-to-date news and pop culture, and where I answer questions and offer advice to my audience, to anonymous question askers, things like that. So if you're looking for a taste of what's going on in the world, or if you need a little bit of advice, you've come to the right place. Now, before we get to the show, you can find me on a variety of lovely social media sites, including Tumblr, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, YouTube, and X, of course. Feel free to follow me on all those places. I also encourage you to join the Discord community. You can see the link down there below on the screen. But yeah, I'm Kahtide on all those places. Check me out. I would love to connect with you and reconnect. Maybe we've reconnected. Maybe we need to reconnect because, we've lost touch. Maybe we forgot about one another. Maybe our memories were stolen from one another. Oh, what a sad time. Anyway, I also work as a game dev, so if you're interested in taking a look at my current video game project, you can check out my work at salvedevelopment.com, SALVE development.com. Lastly, if you're enjoying the show, do consider following and subscribing. I also appreciate any contributions made through my Koffee link. Your donations and subscriptions help support this show and all of my creative efforts. So thank you so much to everybody out there providing that support. Now, we're going to get to a bunch of the news and pop culture updates for you here today on our show. What are we covering? We have a few things on the list here. The Yemen strikes, the ICJ case. We're talking politics with Trump and Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. There's some Twitch news. There's definitely some YouTube news. So we're going to hop to it right now, shall we? I think that's what we're going to do here.
It's time for the news. Let's hear it, Kahtide.
All right, everybody, get your coffee cups ready because we're going to talk news right now. We're talking news, global and national. Since I am based in America, you will be getting a lot of American news, but you will be getting a mix of international news in there as well. So let's hop into it, shall we? Let's see what's out there today. I'm going to pull up my little handy-dandy little frame here. All right. Oh, gosh, did I miss some links here? I think I missed some links here. Okay, I did want to get to the Yemen stuff first, so I'm going to quickly... oh, God, I forgot. This is an old document, unfortunately. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up something here really quickly, because we're looking up... there's been some Yemen strikes here recently. I wanted to pull up a clip that we could show...
Satellite images show
hang
the
on.
destruction.
Here we go. I'm going to pull up the clip here while I get some context news here. From Sky News.
Satellite images show the destruction in the wake of strikes
Come on. There we go. Sorry, YouTube's acting up here. There we go.
against Houthi military assets over the past 2 days. Thursday's operation had seen more than 60 targets hit at nearly 30 sites. Friday saw the follow-up. British Typhoon jets that had joined the first mission weren't engaged in the second. Last night, the United States acted unilaterally.
Of course.
It was a military strike on a smaller scale than the one the day before. Tomahawk land attack missiles were launched from the USS Carney in what the United States described as a follow-on action on a specific target. It's understood to have been a Houthi radar facility. A statement from the US military spoke of strikes designed to degrade the Houthis' ability to attack maritime vessels, including commercial traffic. The situation was addressed by President Biden before last night's follow-up strike.
We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis as they continue this outrageous behavior, along with our allies.
On Friday, Britain's Prime
I'm
Minister...
going to pause really quickly just to give my take so far. Absolutely awful situation so far right now with Yemen. Definitely, I mean, if you read some of the documentation that they put out here, it's clearly here merely to protect shipping interests. It's not, there's no concern here for why the Houthis are attacking. The Houthis have made a statement about this. Also, hi, Gear Joe. Now, how many Florida man news we got this week? We do have a Florida man in the news today, Gear Joe, so you do stay tuned. Great to see you here. But yeah, no, I mean, if you read any of the stuff coming out, I mean, the Houthis are pretty clear. They are going to continue their aggression as long as, the Western support is being funneled towards Israel, and this genocide is continuing against the Palestinians. I mean, they made it clear. It's obvious. And yet Biden and a number of other leaders, they're framing this as though it's like, it's a piracy issue almost, like as though like we're going to respond to these rebels that are attacking our shipping because it's disrupting global trade. I think that framing it that way is really disgusting. It's missing it's purposely pointedly missing the picture of why they're doing this attack. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there. Let's continue the clip.
Rishi Sunak was in Ukraine. He
We're
spoke
covering
of
this one
shipping
next too.
targeted by Houthi militants, which included a Royal Navy destroyer.
It's why I made the decision with allies to take what I believe to be necessary, proportionate and targeted action against military targets to degrade...
This guy's got a really punchable face, I just have to say it.
Initial indications are that those strikes have been successful.
Following the attacks on the Iranian-backed Houthis, there were protests outside the British embassy in Iran's capital, Tehran.
I mean, as I would expect.
Thousands gathered to protest in the streets of Sana'a in Yemen. And the United States said that Houthi militants fired a missile towards a commercial vessel in the Gulf of Aden on the same day.
I mean, bear in mind, like, these people have been impoverished. They've been under a blockade for, like, they only just ended the blockade recently, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they've been in the middle of a civil war. I mean, famine has been pretty widespread across the country. Like, they don't have anything. And yet we are basically just swinging our dick around and dropping fucking tomahawks on these people that are only... Their current cause, by the way, mind you, is really to halt shipments to Israel so that Israel will stop its genocide. We have a comment here from Gear Joe. I don't really want to sound like I'm throwing everyone under the bus or anything, but Israel is very much on the wrong, and I don't think I need to remind anyone how the Americans didn't bomb hospitals way back on the Iraq thing, and they didn't even have actual bases back then. To be fair, I mean, I don't know if that's entirely true. As far as I'm aware, I don't think the American military specifically bombed hospitals. I'm sure there was a lot of collateral damage, though. I would also say that I do think they had a few bases in Iraq that I don't think they have anymore. I think those are abandoned. I would have to look up. But again, sure. I mean, context-wise, I mean, perspective-wise, yes, maybe Israel here has been doing a lot worse. But bear in mind that Israel is pretty much just a client state of America. I mean, America's funding it. It's providing the weapons. Like, America is complicit in this. It's not like America is not complicit in this. And I think that's an important thing to take away here. But I'm going to stop pausing and we're going to watch the rest of the clip here.
Houthi spokesman vowed revenge.
The Yemeni armed forces will not hesitate to target the sources of the threat, along with all the aggressive targets inland and at sea in defense of Yemen, its sovereignty and independence.
Hey, yeah.
This second U.S. operation came after an assessment of damage done in the first. It is designed to degrade the Houthis' military capability, but it carries with it the danger of escalating conflict in the region.
Yes,
traditional U.S. and UK partners in the region, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Jordan, Turkey, have over the past 24 hours been rather critical of what they see as US and British escalation in Yemen, because they are, on the one hand, concerned about the possibility that this could escalate into a further regional conflict, but also because they see it as politically tied to the war in Gaza.
I mean, it's explicitly tied to the war in Gaza. I just want to make that clear. It's explicitly tied to the war in Gaza. This is the entire reason that the Yemenis are attacking shipping is because of Gaza.
UK warnings the action against the Houthis removes uncertainty around a willingness to act, if not around its consequences. James Matthews, Sky News in Washington.
Just going to pull up a bit more context here. Sorry about the missing links earlier. I had a lot going on during the week here, so I'm just thank you for letting me catch up. I appreciate that. Okay, we got a Reuters article here. I'm just going to pull up, get a little more context. Yemen's Houthis vow strong response after new U.S. strike. This is kind of the follow-up here. The Houthi militia threatened a strong and effective response after the United States carried out another strike in Yemen overnight, further ratcheting up tensions as Washington vowed to protect shipping from attacks by the Iran-aligned movement. You know, I mean, what can we really say here? I mean, again, it's the U.S. flexing its might. It's the U.S. Attempting to act as a player here. Think about this. How about this? Why are we deciding here? Why are we electing to make these decisions unilaterally, mind you, against an entirely different country? We are striking another country, or in the past, that would be considered an act of war, frankly. Gear says, I mean, it all revolves about the money, and now cargo and so on got to pay an extra week of shipping. Exactly. No, you're so right. You're hitting the nail on the head there, Gear. It's about the fucking like shipping times. It's about the shipping costs. It's about having to reroute all the shipping. It's about further delays in the global trade network. I mean, think about like COVID, for example. How much it disrupted shipping all across the planet. How much that changed prices. It messed with business supply lines, things like that. I mean, I would be shocked if they were not on some level desperate to avoid any further hampering of trade, considering they are still on the recovery path from after the lockdowns. But it's a cold calculus, because what you're talking about is a continuing to supply a genocidal regime, B, fighting against, not even fighting against, massacring practically an impoverished country that is standing up for the right thing, frankly. It's standing up for the right thing. It's one of the few countries that's standing up for the right thing in the region, in the world. I mean, we can, of course, give South Africa some credit for bringing up that ICJ case. We're going to see about covering that next. But frankly, it's one of the only countries that's actually standing up and militarily putting itself on the line to stand up for Gaza, and I think that's something to account for here. But anyway, yeah. Brutal aggression. In Sana'a, government employee Mohammed Sameh said the attacks were an act of brutal aggression and marked a new stage of war Yemen has endured for 10 years. Mind you, 10 years Yemen has been under war. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the war is due to, Saudi Arabia, which is backed by America. If I remember correctly, and this is something that's been a few years for me, so I could be getting it wrong, but if I remember correctly, the Saudis were involved in fighting the Houthi rebels directly and were supported militarily by America and its military engine. A lot of just very, very awful stuff here. So my heart goes out to Yemen. I think that do I think it's good that they're attacking shipping? No, I don't. But I think that they are fighting for the right reasons. And I have nothing but supportive words for their actions, because frankly, I think that America should be ceasing its genocidal actions and should not be funding and supplying Israel, and should be condemning it in the harshest way possible. I mean, my last thought here is I know for a fact here that if Biden told Netanyahu and Netanyahu's government, it's over. Hey, it's over. We're not doing it anymore. They'd stop. They would cease, because they are so dependent on America as a lifeline that if America says it's over, you're not getting any more support, it's over. They're done. I'll wrap up on the story with one more comment from Gear Joe here. I hate to do these things, but America, as far as I've seen it on Europe, and Europe in general, was pretty against Israel. This didn't happen. I don't want to say this wouldn't have happened. It would, in the same way in World War I dominoes happened, but such is life. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know. I feel like Europe is not necessarily that much against Israel. I feel like they do support Israel, as far as I can tell. I mean, I need to look more into that personally, but like, America itself has this weird religious bent to support Israel. It also has this weird political, socio-economic bent to support Israel because, one, they buy a lot from us, and two, they're like practically a gigantic military outpost for America in the Middle East. So, here says, I mean, Israel nationalists got a lot of investments, and well, it all goes into the money. It's a mess. It's a mess. You're right, and it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's definitely also a money profiteering thing. But let's move on. Let's go to the next thing here. I did want to bring this up because this tied into something we saw just a moment ago. So we'll hop over to the next bit of news here. Sunak vows that Ukraine will never be alone as he pledges £2.5 billion package. Damn, I wish my package was that big. Ayo! Just kidding. Give me a little coffee sipskis. Do I have a video here? Let me see if I have a video here. God damn it. Let me pull up that link. Jamie, pull up the link, Jamie. Let's pull up the link, Jamie. Let's get it. Okay. I had a clip here. That's okay. We'll cover it briefly because we already saw it. But yeah, Rishi Sunak has vowed that Ukraine will never be alone as the UK announced $2.5 billion of military aid to Ukraine over the coming year. That is nice, but the British economy not really up for it. Last I heard, yeah, that's kind of the thing I was thinking about because isn't the British government in a downturn? How can they afford $2.5 billion of military aid to Ukraine over the coming years? But then I think, hey, I live in America. How can America afford a third of its fucking GDP in military spending and then can't afford to house the homeless or to help addicts on the street or anything like that? And it all makes sense. But yeah, I'll read on here. It's UK's largest commitment since Russia's full invasion in 2022. The Prime Minister made the announcement as he met Zelensky in Kiev and signed the agreement. We saw that a little bit ago in the clip. If you're not watching on the Twitch or YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, I will try and describe these clips a bit for you here. Let's see. Package includes long-range missiles, air defense, and artillery shells, and $200 million spent on drones. There's also, let's see here. They said the military package for the next financial year beginning in April would result in the largest delivery of drones, most of which will be UK-made to Ukraine by any country. There you go. See? The UK gets to have a additional production capacity to build military drones, which they will then sell to Ukraine. Well, not even sell to Ukraine. The government's buying it for Ukraine, so it's stimulating the economy. Isn't that great? Ugh. Anyway, significantly, the Prime Minister has decided not to make a financial commitment lasting several years, which makes sense. This is kind of a let's see how things go situation, I think, for the Western powers. They were very gung-ho initially to support this war and to fight, to say, we're going to stand by the Ukrainians. But of course, this is again another piece of cool calculus. I feel like that seems to be the trick. Yeah, that seems to be the trick. Because it's about checking and seeing. You want your investment to blossom. Think about this. How much of the Western powers have been geared towards a capitalistic mindset? They're going to be thinking about it this way. They're going to be thinking, Ukraine, is it worth it? Russia, our enemy. We don't like Russia. But is it worth it to keep funding this proxy war in Ukraine? We're spending a lot of money. Is the money going to the right cause? Is it going to be spent well? And if it's not, should we pull out of our investment? This is what happens. This is always what happens when these 10 types of capitalist crony types get into government. They think about it in terms of this kind of cost benefit analysis. Gear says, I mean, new war appears and war is slow and human attention span is really dang short. That is true too. That is also true, is that, the attention span of humanity is short, and it grows ever shorter as social media increases the rate of information consumption. So yeah, I mean, people lose interest in Ukraine or any of the other wars. People grow fatigued faster. I mean, frankly, think about it. The other factor is not even just that. It's how long have we been at war? How long has war always been a constant factor everywhere? I mean, frankly, America, the majority of its existence has been at war. Britain's been at war constantly. France has been at war constantly. Russia's been at war constantly. All of these like larger powers have been at war at some point or another, or in some sort of military tension, or in a Cold War situation. I mean, it's always been happening. You know, people grow fatigued of war. I'm fatigued of war personally, as somebody who's grown up in it. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on here. We'll check some other articles. Let's see. It's worth about $3.2 billion, technically. 2.5 billion pounds. Sunak says we're not walking away. Of course, he's just saying that. That's a lot of talk because, you know, he's not committing to a long-term actual support program for Ukraine. This is a signal to the world. Ukraine is not alone. Oh my God. They did apparently sign a bilateral security agreement for the next 10 years, which will remain in effect until Ukraine acquires its hoped-for NATO membership, according to ABC News. Zelensky said details of the agreement are to be released later. And, of course, Kiev has been urging the West to send more of the kind of aid the UK is providing, as the grinding war brings little change along the front line, and both sides turn to long-range strikes. I mean, that's the other factor here, too, if you think about it, is a lot of long-range strikes, and it's the sort of thing that really just prolongs conflict. When you have the ability to attack from the air, when you have the ability to attack with missiles, it slows things down. You can't move assets quickly. You have to be able to... You have to dig in, frankly, in many places to avoid missile fire. The drones are another problem too. Drones completely turn the tide on infantry movements, make it super, super difficult for infantry to move without being spotted and just completely sniped by missiles. Even the drones themselves at some point can also, like, you know, they have explosive capabilities. They can just drop on infantry positions. It's bad. It's a grinding kind of a war out there, and it doesn't seem to be changing at all. I really think that there should be some sort of peace process in motion here, personally. One that favors Ukraine, of course, considering that Russia is the belligerent here, but I don't expect to see that happening anytime soon here. So, bad times out there altogether. Let's see what else there is in terms of some of this interconnected international news. Interconnected. Sipping my coffee as we talk about the ICJ genocide case against Israel. Do have a clip on this one. We'll watch a little bit of the clip, see how that goes. Pull up the other link, Jamie. I'll get my links ready as we watch the clip. There we go.
After the first 2 days of hearings at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, Israel continues to defend its military operation in Gaza as an act of self-defense in response to the October 7th Hamas terror attacks. A South African delegation argued that Israel's offensive was going beyond that. To them, it's an attempt to destroy the Palestinians as a people, claims that amount to genocide. Now, the German federal government says it will request to join the case as a third party in support of Israel. Berlin says there is no basis for South Africa's accusations. Well, for more on this story, I'm joined by DW political correspondent Julia Saudelli. Julia, great to see you.
Awkward pause.
So Germany wants to join the trial as a third party. How could that affect the court case?
This is incredibly weird, I gotta say. If you've been following the case at all, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. Like, there's so much video documentation, there's so much textual documentation based on just what people in Israel have been saying about the war, about their support for the genocide, about clearing out Gaza, about, you know, the fake stories about fucking babies being beheaded and shit like this. There's very clear-cut evidence that's been presented. I mean, many people here have said that it's one of the most clear-cut cases of genocide that's been brought forward, more so than any other case. So it's very strange that Germany wants to come in here. Considering, as far as I'm aware, Germany has a very pro-Israel stance here. So I can only imagine that Germany's entry into this is to try and give Israel like some sort of cover, some sort of, like, you know, legitimacy in its representation. I can only imagine that's what's going to happen here, because I can't imagine that they'll somehow come in favor of Palestine of all things. You know, especially considering Germany's history with the Jewish people. I can imagine that perhaps they want to come out looking like they are in support of the Jewish people, which Israel tends to conflate. You know, Israel often works very hard to try and conflate Judaism with Israel. It does not speak for Judaism. There are Jewish communities across the world, and many are not in favor of Israel and its actions or its stance as the one true homeland for Jewish people. So I can imagine that there may be some sort of kind of, I don't know, some sort of angle here for Germany. And I want to see what they report on here, actually.
Well, joining as a third party doesn't mean that Germany will then be directly implicated in the case, in the dispute, but it allows Germany to bring forward written statements and to participate in the oral proceedings. And that would mean that Germany could bring forward its own legal interpretation of the case and of the Convention on Genocide.
Okay, so that's well, again, I have to ask, why insert yourself here? Joe says, yeah, South Africa is moving the thing. While I support Israel is in a massive hypocrite move, doing a genocide and or sheer we don't care about them. It looks like we are important move because last I heard South Africa is on very hard spot. Excuse me. Okay, let me drink something. Also, yeah, Germany is a polite necessity thing, even whether if they are or not for the sentence. Yeah, okay. I mean, sure, I don't know about South Africa's motive. I mean, there are sure probably some historical motivations for why South Africa is bringing this forward. But if nothing else, I think it's the right thing to do. I think if nothing else, South Africa as a former apartheid state has more of a leg to stand on in bringing forward this case than anybody else, considering they know what it's like to have an apartheid. They fought one. They ended one. You know, a lot of people in South Africa worked to end that apartheid, and Israel is an apartheid state. So I think they have a leg to stand on in bringing the case. But Germany, I don't know why it's inserting itself here. Let's watch more. Sorry for the interruptions.
Now, it also is not an obligation for parties that join the proceedings to state which side they're on, but we've heard clearly from statements made by the German government that Germany is taking part to stand on the side of Israel and is against the accusations.
Whoa. Holy shit. How did I call that? Holy shit. So yeah, of course they're here to stand for Israel. Fucking God. How did I call this from like a mile away? Okay, let's keep going. Jesus.
By South Africa. We heard from a government spokesman that Germany rejects these accusations and says that they are baseless. And Germany also sees this case as politically instrumentalizing the Convention on Genocide. And we've also heard similar strong statements coming from the economy minister, Robert Habeck, who was in Israel on Thursday. And let's have a listen.
My personal and political opinion is that one can criticize the Israeli military for using harsh measures in the Gaza Strip. However, that does not constitute genocide. Those who would commit genocide...
Okay, 30,000 civilians at least have died. 30,000 civilians have died at least at this point. The number of civilians on the Israeli side that have died is incomparable. Oh boy, we have an ad coming here, by the way. Ad in 55 seconds, folks. If you want to avoid the ad, consider subscribing to the Twitch stream. It does help out a lot. VOD watchers and Spotify listeners will not have to worry about the ads. But for those on Twitch, please do subscribe. Thank you. Here Joe says, I mean, come on, even now they're very much on a sins of the father thing. That said, it's not a bad thing to have. There's a rise of Nazis in all but name. Exactly. No, this is what I'm thinking. It's like they want to. Okay, I hate sounding like a conservative here, but they want to virtue signal that they are in support of the Jewish people, having been a very anti-Jewish country in the past and not wanting to appear so. But it's clearly genocide. You can separate Zionism from Judaism. Sorry, just saying it. Anyway, let's continue.
Or desire to do so, if given the opportunity, are Hamas. The annihilation of the State of Israel is on their agenda. So we can understand the slogan "From the river to the sea" as not meaning that Jews should leave Israel by boat, but as an extinction fantasy. Accusing Israel of...
My God, I'm sorry, I keep pausing. I cannot... Okay, look, you are suffering from terminal brain rot at this point if you think at any point, at any level, that from the river to the sea is a genocidal statement where Palestinians want to destroy the Jewish state. No, it's not. Okay, it's wanting to restore their homeland. It's wanting to be able to return to their homeland, to be able to live in Palestine where they used to exist. 30,000 civilians have been killed in an indiscriminate bombing campaign, and yet you're coming here and making the equivalent case that, like, oh, it's Hamas. Oh, it's all Hamas is the one causing the destruction. Hamas is the one that's causing the destruction. If only the Palestinians would simply, eject Hamas. If only they would just fight off, just get rid of Hamas, then and that's when everything would be better. That's when the war can stop. It's not. Israel has made it clear that they think that every Palestinian is a part of Hamas. That Hamas and Palestine are one and the same. It's clear that they made this case. They want to obliterate and scatter the Palestinian people to the four corners of the earth and never have them trouble them again. Okay, that is what Israel wants. All right, and to claim anything else, to claim that Palestine has any wish to destroy the Jewish people is absurd. I mean, they've made it clear in their most recent charters that they have no qualms with the Jewish people. They only have qualms with the Zionist project of Israel. I'm sorry, I'm ranting here again, but hearing people make a completely disingenuous case is very frustrating. Gira says, I mean, come on, what do you think the world is going to say if Germany said Israel wrong? I mean, sure, yes, I'm sure that they would catch some flack for saying Israel is wrong, but I mean, it's important to stand for the right thing, regardless of whether you get attacks, criticisms of your country. I mean, look, America has a lot to criticize, but it should be standing up for itself. It should be standing up for the things that are right, and it should be doing those things and implementing them. Even if we could point it to things that America did wrong, it should still be doing those things right. If Germany does something wrong, we should be pointing out that it did something wrong, but it should still be standing up for the morally right thing, no matter what. I don't think that, look, every country has its flaws that it needs to work towards improving, but at the end of the day, we still have an imperative to stand up for the right thing, no matter what the circumstances are. The right thing in this circumstance is to end the genocide, to end the killing of civilians, and not to support the far stronger belligerent state that has been occupying that territory and harassing those people for decades. Anyway, let's keep the clip going. Here we go.
Genocide is a complete distortion of victims and perpetrators, in my view, and it is just wrong.
Right, Julia, so a very clear statement there from Robert Habeck. Tell us, why is Germany getting involved in this case at all?
Well, all countries that signed the Convention on Genocide can take part in proceedings as a third party. And in this case, we don't see this as the first case that Germany joins proceedings. They've done that recently in a case brought against Myanmar for accusations of genocide against the Rohingya. And also Germany joined the case against Russia for its war in Ukraine. And in those two cases, Germany supported the accusations of genocide. In the case of Israel, it is not. And we see that Germany wants to stand by Israel being one of Israel's...
This is so staggering, too. Think about that. They've gone to 2 other genocide proceedings and went, yep, that's genocide. But the one that is so very obviously documented that everyone across the planet can see is a genocide, they say is not a genocide. So think about how politically motivated that is.
Israel's strongest allies right now. And also, though, there is a sense of historical responsibility on the side of Germany, given that the Genocide Convention was born out of the atrocities of World War II as a sign of never again, and also out of the atrocities committed by Nazi Germany in the Holocaust. So Germany sees itself as responsible to ensure that the convention is interpreted correctly in the way that Germany sees it correctly. So it wants to also take a principled stand in this case.
Thanks, Julia, for breaking that down for us. DW political correspondent Julia Saudelli.
It's messy, folks. What can I say? I don't agree with it. I certainly don't. Washington Post. Anyway, enough of that. That's I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I've ranted enough on that. Gear says, I mean, come on, if they go against it, the world's going to go, you're a Nazi, and so on. It's political nonsense. I doubt there are many Germans on board with it. I mean, yeah, I agree. And to be fair, also, Germany and the United States are close allies, and the United States supports Israel. So I would not be surprised if there was some pressure there, from Biden's, executive, his State Department, his himself. He's probably putting a lot of pressure on them as well. So yeah, unpleasant stuff. Very unpleasant stuff. Let's get to Florida man news. Let's do a little fun Florida man news. By Florida man news, I mean American politics. We're talking Republican debate. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis facing off together. They're taking it to the stage. We have some clips. We're gonna watch some clips. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We get to make fun of some goofballs. Let's hit it.
Oh, I yearn for the old days. They're gone, aren't they?
Oh my god.
Yeah, they are gone,
okay,
for
let's.
sure. I think
Let's skip this Bloomberg shit. I don't give a fuck.
Obviously.
I want to see the actual clip.
Bye.
I'm gonna find it. Where's the clip? Give me the clip. Give me the clip. I don't want the coverage. I want the clip. Is this just coverage? Fucking stupid Bloomberg news. I swear to God. Here we go.
This has been one of the biggest years for illegal border crossings into the United States.
We'll watch a little bit of it.
225,000 migrants illegally crossed the southern border. It's a record high, overwhelming the Border Patrol resources that are already stretched thin. Mayors across the country say their cities are being pushed to a breaking point. Governor DeSantis, former President Trump, famously promised to build a wall on the southern border. He obviously did not get that.
This is on CNN, by the way. CNN broadcasters are asking Republican-style questions to Republican candidates on CNN. We are yeah.
Done. You have promised to finish the job. How will you succeed where he failed?
We will build a wall. We will actually
wait. Biden's already building the wall, though. Biden is already building the wall, though. So what you gonna do the wall, man? You gonna build the wall, Mr. DeSantis? Oh my God, Biden's gonna finish it before you do, buddy. I don't understand.
Mexico pay for it in the way that I thought Donald Trump was. We're going to charge fees on remittances that workers send to foreign countries. Billions of dollars will build the wall. He also promised record deep.
Mind you, okay, I'm sorry, I'm pausing again. To clarify for folks that don't understand, in America, there's a kind of trend with a lot of immigrants from like Latin American countries where they'll work a job here in America. They'll send a large portion of the money that they're making back to their families back in Latin American countries where they're unable to make a lot of money or where they're struggling. And that helps support like a ton of people. Like a ton of people work in America, send money back, and support an even greater amount of people in a lot of Latin American countries where they really just rely on that money to be able to even like eat or like to pay the bills or anything like that. So what DeSantis is arguing here is that he's going to tax these payments and take that money and instead use it to fund the wall. So yeah, pretty disgusting. Here says that's pretty much happening everywhere, all over the world. Happens here too. I figured. I mean, some people might not be familiar with this, so I figured I'd explain because he doesn't clarify that. But yeah, like I think that's pretty disgusting. I mean, definitely exploitative of an impoverished working class. So let me continue here.
Deportations. Donald Trump deported fewer people than Barack Obama did when he was president. Biden's let in 8 million people just in 4 years. They all have to go back. We have to enforce the rule of law in this country. Think about what's happening to our country. Just this week, we saw the news.
He really looks like a robot.
A school in Brooklyn, New York, had the kids stay home. They were not able to go to school, told you can't go get an in-person education. Why? Because the city's commandeering the school to house illegal aliens in it. Talk about putting Americans last. You're putting these kids out of an education because you can't control the border. Biden has failed in this endeavor. He has not taken care that the laws of this country be faithfully executed. Do not trust Nikki Haley with illegal immigration. That's like having the fox guard the hen house.
She's just like, okay, all right. Gear says also people just going to find easy ways to send money untaxed, make the rule, find the loop, as they say. Yeah, pretty much exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, look, his stupid little argument about like, oh, they have to take over a school to put it with the illegal immigrants. One, I as far as I can tell, I don't know if that's true. Two, that's anecdotal. Three, even if that's true, like, that just speaks to a lack of funding in America that we need, you know, a lack of like support for like housing in general. I mean, you know, maybe the fact that we don't have space for illegal immigrants says something. Maybe the fact that we don't have space for homeless people in this country says something that we should be fixing. Let's skip forward a little bit. This question's stupid. I'm going to skip to another one here. Here we go. Hang on.
Governor DeSantis and also Donald Trump are attacking you for that comment in 2015 in which you said undocumented immigrants should not be called, quote, criminals. At the time, the most direct, you said, quote,
that's the most direct attack I've seen everywhere. Like, wow, might as well punch her in the face. I mean, this is just how American political debates go. They just love doing that shit.
Governor DeSantis and also Donald Trump are attacking you for that comment in 2015 in which you said undocumented immigrants should not be called, quote, criminals. At the time, the full context is you said, quote, we don't need to talk about them as criminals. They're not. They're families that want a better life and they're desperate to get here, unquote. Do you still feel that way?
I saw them. When I was at the United Nations, I saw them. That doesn't mean we should let them into our country. I mean, first of all...
Oh my God, this explains, like, this just like encapsulates the Republican mindset so much. Is like, she wasn't at the UN. She worked as a UN ambassador, if I'm not mistaken. Like, she saw the effects of like neoliberalization and how impoverished people are and how bad it is out there for people, like the cartel violence. And she saw it and she made this statement in the past. It was like, oh, it's awful. These are families. These people that need help. But of course, because she's running for president now, she can't say that anymore because her base doesn't like that, because her base is kind of racist. So now she has to be like, nope. I mean, yeah, I worked there and saw it, but we can't let them in the country. You know, we can't let them in the country.
I will tell you that when I was governor of South Carolina, we passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country. Obama sued us over it, and we won.
See? She's proud of that. She went to the UN as an ambassador, saw the impoverished people, and she's proud of turning them away. Power corrupts, as they say. Power corrupts. I mean, it does. I mean, it's pretty sad. And she's not even going to be the president again. Neither of these chuckle fucks is going to be president, by the way. It's going to be Trump. I promise you.
We fought Obama on Syrian refugees. We fought Obama on Guantanamo Bay prisoners. I have always said we are a country of laws. The second we stop being a country of laws, we give up everything this country was founded on. But I will tell you, in passing that toughest illegal immigration law in the country, we passed E-Verify, which I want to take national, which is where businesses have to prove that the people they hire are in this country legally. I passed it within 6 months of being governor. Ron didn't pass it for 5 years. He only waited to pass it when he decided to run for president.
Wait. I love the cutaway. Sorry. I'm gonna skip back here really quickly. Spotify listeners, you can't see this, but she says his name and he just looks up like fucking Dumbo, like. Hang on.
Passed it for 5 years. He only waited to pass it and when he decided to run for president. What we need to do is not just ban a wall. We need to put 25,000 border patrol
she said my name.
On the ground and let them do their job. We need to defund sanctuary cities once and for all.
Oh my God. Defund sanctuary cities. Oh my God.
We need to make sure we go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that no one even steps foot on U.S. soil. And instead of catch and release, we need to go to catch and deport. That's the only way we'll stop the incentives of these illegal immigrants coming across. Biden turned around and gave 500,000 Venezuelans temporary protective status. That's 500,000 driver's licenses, 500,000 social security numbers. All that does is incentivize them to pick up the phone, call their family members, and tell them to come.
So what? Here's my argument. So what? Okay, 500,000 driver's licenses, 500,000 social security numbers. So what? That's great. You know what? Statistically speaking, refugees tend to work harder and tend to be like better, more contributing members of society across the board. So what? That's great. I want them to come here. I think that's awesome. Let them have their families come here too. Frankly, the gang violence that's happening in these Latin American countries is a direct product of American interventionism in the region. Let them come. Let them come here if they want to come here. We should be helping to stabilize the regions. We should be helping to fund those regions and like provide services. And you know, we should be decriminalizing and you know, providing assistance to addiction and to decriminalizing drugs. I mean, these are things that we should be doing. The fact that the cartels have so much power is because of the interventionism of the past, and because, you know, it's because of just current American policy, frankly. So let them come. I don't have a problem with that. Let them come. They are refugees from a horrible political situation. We are like morally duty bound to accept refugees. I'm sorry. It's just the case. It's just the case. And talking like this is disgusting, morally speaking, in my opinion. It's absolutely foul. But let's keep listening. We'll skip to another question here. Let's see. What else are we going to talk about?
10 million undocumented immigrants.
Oh, God. They're still on this shit here.
Taxpayers are paying for it. You see these mayors are now upset about it. The only reason Eric Adams is now upset, why? He shouldn't be a sanctuary city then. That's why we have to defund sanctuary cities. Now Governor Abbott finally did to them what's been happening to Texas for so long. We've got to put an end to this. It's dangerous, and it doesn't even count the fentanyl that's
Governor DeSantis. There are more than 10 million undocumented immigrants already living in the United States.
They're really hammering these points here about the undocumented immigrants.
Be allowed to stay in the United States under your administration?
The number of people that will be amnestied when I'm president is 0. We cannot do an amnesty in this country. First of all, it's going to do is cause more people to want to come.
America is the melting pot. Isn't that what we always say about America? Is that it's the melting pot? What the fuck? Like, Gear Joe says, remember one Texan saying that the only immigrant plague they got is Californians? Okay, well Americans moving around the country to try and find cheaper prices is just kind of how it is. I mean, I've got definitely people in my neck of the woods that have moved from California and places like that all over the place. So it just happens. But my God in heaven, like we Ellis Island, like we used to bring okay, you know what, I'm being stupid here. I am being stupid. Why am I like talking about how we're an immigrant melting pot when every time that immigrants have come to this country, they've been met with like bigotry and racism and laws against them until eventually they were allowed to integrate into American society somehow? You know, like virtually every immigrant population has had to struggle to be accepted in this country because of horrible wasps out here who don't like them, and probably still don't like them. So I don't know why I'm saying this, but still, like, I feel like we're a country of immigrants, of many different populations, and to hear this is really just incredibly sad because it's great. It's good to be a country of different cultures and different, you know, nationalities coming together. I think that's what makes America so interesting and exciting to live in. Like the homogenization of America and how like boring and dumbed down everything gets. That's what is so sad about this process. So honestly, aside from, of course, the horrible suffering that gets inflicted on people because of these like horrible ghoulish policies, but like the fact that we get to meet people of all kinds of different places, like that there can be people from like, you know, Europe and Africa and Asia and Oceania and South America and other parts of North America and everywhere else, and all coming together, getting to share getting to share their cultures together, getting to form new like synergistic cultures together out of like different populations, like building a whole new diverse American culture, I think is what is so powerful about this country and what makes it so compelling as a place, culturally, economically, socially. Not to, of course, knock on any other country, because every country has its unique like culture and stuff and a unique kind of expression. And I think that's exceptional, but that is what America's strength is its diversity. And to hear this sort of conversation being spouted on CNN is just really sad. Anyway, I don't want to hang on to this one too long. We have other news things to get to. Let me see what else we have on the docket here before we switch gears. Or if even have I hit my time limit here? Oh yeah, I'm actually over time here. So let's switch gears. You know what? We're gonna switch gears to something else. I had other news topics I wanted to hit, but we hit a couple of clips that I wanted to visit on. So we'll switch to something else here. That being our pop culture. We're gonna talk about some pop culture here. So let's do that. What do you say about that, huh?
Popular Culture Barometer. It's time for the weather report.
And we're hopping over to pop culture. We're talking about the news of the day in pop culture information stuff. Let's take a look here. God damn it, USA Today, you suck. We're talking about Twitch layoffs today. It is very sad news. We are on Twitch right now, live streaming, so it's very sad news right now to talk about this. But there have been a number of Twitch layoffs going on. The Amazon-owned live streaming platform is cutting its workforce by 35%. Hundreds of employees are getting laid off for a second year in a row, with a number of concerns over losses. So we'll read into this. Let me see. Do I have a clip on this? I don't know if I have a clip on this. Let me take a look here. I think I just have another article here. Let me pull up my links here. Because I know there was a live stream about this. I don't know. God damn it. I'm copying the wrong thing. There we go. Did I get a link? Oh, I don't have a clip on it, but I'll do a little dialogue on this here. Gear says Twitch supports sucked infinite backsides. I can only dread the future sucking me. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen on that. Yeah. Let's see. Let's read here. According to CEO Dan Clancy, as you all know, we have worked hard over the last year to run our business as sustainably as possible. Fortunately, we still have work to do to right size, not downsize, our company. And I regret having to share that we are taking the painful step of reducing our headcount by just over 500 people across Twitch. Now, this was on Wednesday when this was published. The layoffs are coming at a time when there's a lot of losses for the company. Of course, there are losses across the entire tech sector. A lot of tech companies have been seeing massive layoffs as they're kind of hitting a wall, I think, really. What my take is really here is that a lot of tech companies are kind of hitting a wall on their innovation. Because, like, if you think about the 2000s and the 2010s, the tech industry really blossomed during that period because it was all about innovation. They were creating products that were exciting to people, that were new, that were diverse. There were YouTube came up. That was the first time we had like a kind of a generalized video hosting service that anybody could connect to. Like MySpace kind of led the way for Facebook. Facebook led the way for those kind of profile-based social media apps. Instagram kind of came off the back of that. Like Tumblr, Twitter for that short form blogging came after that. Like they all kind of fill a niche for that social media kind of bubble that we're all talking about, that we're all a part of. There's that short form, there's the long form, there's like video based, there's image based, like that's immense bollocks. The subs bit and all that, all profits, only things like Patreon and Koffee is tax free, and if anything, streaming on the up. Even the slowpokes of YouTube are on it, says Gear Joe. Yeah, I mean, look, I am kind of getting to that point, I think. Over here, I'm getting to that point, really. These industries kind of like came up and kind of filled their niches, and at a certain point they stopped having innovations that they could generate. I mean, think about like all of the most recent kind of developments in terms of the tech space. Like what big companies, what big products are really coming out that are new, that are different? I mean, it's all kind of just variations on the same thing. I mean, once Twitter kind of became X, and Elon took over and a number of different kind of competitor copycats came out. I mean, all they were really doing is kind of copying the format and trying to see if they could kind of supplant Twitter and X. Nothing new has come out of that, really, I don't think. I mean, as far as live streaming, I mean, Twitch has been around for a while. I mean, there's Kick, of course, but Kick is really just going off of Twitch's API and Twitch's white glove service, Amazon's white glove service. So it's like not really even being its own thing. I mean, they've hit us. It's stagnant. I mean, the rideshare service has been kind of stagnant for a while. I mean, what other like service-based things have happened? I mean, it's been a lot of subscriptions, obviously. A lot of subscriptions have taken over, but at a certain point, there's a subscription saturation for products to like send out to people. It's hit a wall, I think, and that's why that downturn is happening. That's why that kind of layoff is happening, because those profits are no longer soaring. You can no longer just pitch a product and have it get blow up or take off or get bought out by another larger company. It just doesn't work that way. And these larger companies are cutting back because they want to maintain shareholder profits, but they don't want to maintain the size that they've managed to accrue, particularly over the pandemic. Think about it this way. I mean, the pandemic really did kind of blossom a lot of tech companies. They had a huge profit over the years of the pandemic as people were locked down. Now that people are out and about and are not really stuck on the computer anymore, stuck on their devices anymore, you're at this point now where the profits are not really seeing the same level that they once saw, but shareholders are expecting the same returns. So you're going to have to start cutting back on your infrastructure, on your labor, on your investment. So yeah, this is unsurprising to me. I need some water. Hang on. But yeah, there's some other things that have happened here. For example, Twitch has halted streaming in South Korea. We had a few executives leave Twitch. There's been a layoffs in 2023. Then there was a 70-30 split in June where streamers' income would be set to 70-30, where streamers keep... streamers used to keep 70% of the revenue, and 30% of it went to Twitch, which is already an egregious amount. Now it's 50-50, which is ridiculous. I mean, God, can you imagine if like game studios sold on Steam and they got a 50-50 split on their game? I mean, that would be pretty crazy. Like that you would not be able to be profitable like that. Partner streamers who make less than 100,000 will continue with the original split, but once that number is netted, they would split 50% of their revenue with the company. I mean, it's bad. I mean, I wonder what's going to happen here. Think about it this way, though. Amazon owns this. Amazon also owns what is their AP? What's their service again? What's it called again? AWS. Amazon AWS. They own AWS. That is what Twitch runs off of, is Amazon AWS, which runs like practically half the internet is run on AWS. If Amazon wanted, they could just fucking decide right today that Twitch is profitable by just not requiring them to pay for AWS. Twitch is required to pay for AWS, by the way, mind you. So if they just decided, hey, okay, your costs for AWS are zero now, or half, Twitch would immediately be profitable. This is really just an Amazon thing about deciding to make Twitch seem unprofitable. Probably, in my opinion, to try and get these, more favorable, rates for itself to be able to, destroy things like subs, like to destroy things like Twitch Prime, for example. Twitch Prime is probably not going to look like it does right now. It's probably going to change, because they want more money. They want more money, and they want to give less money out. It's just really like that. Anyway, Gear says, talking pandemic, and sorry for the sidestepping, streaming services like Netflix and all that suffered of dumb after the pandemic. The bosses don't seem to get that pandemic was an event, a once in a lifetime thing, but they all want to return to that. Real dumb. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, like people, like bosses want. Here's the thing. In terms of capitalism, line must go up. Line must go up. So if bosses are seeing that they're not getting the same kind of profit that they once were, or the same kind of revenue that they once were, during that once in a lifetime event, which, to be fair, it's probably not going to be once in a lifetime. I have a feeling it's going to be something that'll happen with more and more frequency due to climate change and things like that. But that's another point. they see these events, they think, oh, I couldn't get the line to go up, and then the event changes, times change, line goes down. So because capitalism is all about line goes up, you have to do drastic steps. You have to take drastic steps to change that. And one of those steps is layoffs. And yeah, it's really disgusting. Anyway, that's the Twitch news so far. We have other news here. Let's see here. This one is something I noticed that I don't think I got a lot of. I saw a lot of people talking about that I kind of wanted to bring up as well. This relates to something that I'm interested in because I am a video game developer. But this is a Soft Tonic article going on about video game voice actors are very angry about the agreement between SAG-AFTRA and artificial intelligence. So there's actually been some information coming out about this. I'm going to read the article here. I think I might. Do I have a video? Just checking if I have any clips on this. Hang on. No clips, unfortunately. But I'll read out this for you here. This is interesting to me. So voice actors are excluded from the SAG-AFTRA agreement with an AI company, making their work more difficult and precarious from now on. Let's see here. So yeah, SAG-AFTRA, they reached an agreement regarding the use of actors' voices in video games. The deal is that Replica Studios, a company dedicated to licensing and using AI voice replicas for video games, can make deals with SAG-AFTRA members to create and license digital replicas of their voice, all within ethical agreements, or so says SAG-AFTRA. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm just reading through this here. The problem is that this was not the only issue with this technology. Hang on. I haven't actually read this in detail, but I'm going to quickly read through this. It solves one of the biggest problems with the use of AI-generated voices, the use of voices of people who have not accepted those uses. The problems they had with the technology. The problem is that this is not... Hang on a second. Let me check a better article here. Hang on. Okay. Here we go. Game Actors Union SAG-AFTRA has released a deluge of documents in a bid to clarify exactly how its AI agreement with voice technology company Replica Studios will function, and has emphasized the deal as an experimental one-year agreement. Notably, it also acknowledged the terms of the deal will inform the ongoing interactive media agreement negotiations. So this company who has worked with Squanch Games, Playside, Crytek, and Hangar 13 that will have the right to digitally replicate the voices of game actors using AI technology once consent has been provided. Yeah, so here we go. A number of prominent voice performers have trashed the agreement, with World of Warcraft actor Andrew Russell branding it as garbage. Persona 3 Reload performer Shelby Young added that she was really disappointed in SAG-AFTRA. Gear says, if memory serves, and I'm not too sure on it, but video game VA are second citizens because acting IRL movies can't be easily replaced for AI. So actors, and with it, the guild does not really care. Yeah, no, I feel that makes sense. Like, I would not be surprised that SAG-AFTRA doesn't really consider video game voice acting to be like a high priority on its list. I think that's probably more likely. I think that they don't consider it a high priority on their list. They have big names on their list, big actors on their list that they have to actually vouch for, as well as a kind of Hollywood infrastructure that they have to kind of account for. So like, video game voice actors don't really come up high on the list, even though video game sales have surpassed Hollywood for multiple years now. But again, SAG-AFTRA, it has its focus on, I think, the video game environment, or not the video game environment, the Hollywood environment, and is slow right now to really consider the needs of video game voice actors, which is not surprising. Also considering the fact that a lot of these video game companies are incredibly rich and incredibly litigious. I would not be surprised if during these negotiations there was a very strong push by some of these video game studios to kind of to reduce some of the protections for their VAs, because video game, especially AAA developers, are predatory as fuck, and they would unsurprisingly want to try and reduce their costs as much as possible, and to try and exploit AI technology as much as possible. So yeah, let's see if there's any other things here that I can read back here. SAG-AFTRA has attempted to address some of those concerns in an FAQ and stated the deal was shaped with input from members before being unanimously approved by the National Executive Committee. The Replica Studios agreement was bargained unanimously and unanimously approved by the Interactive Media Negotiation Committee, the SAG-AFTRA committee with oversight of this contract area. It is made up of actors who regularly work in the video game industry. Committee members were involved throughout the negotiation process, including in setting the minimum terms for negotiations. They also had the opportunity to meet with Replica Studios to ask questions and provide feedback directly to its founder and CEO, said the union. Yeah, let's see here. I'm trying to find what some other viewpoints here. The union acknowledged that member viewpoints on AI vary greatly, but feels the Replica Studio agreement remains a forward-looking deal that provides important protections while still allowing performers excited about AI tech to ply their trade in a rapidly developing area. Entering into a contract like this now, as use of AI technology in the video game industry is still developing, allows us to help guide the industry towards fair compensation and working conditions for professional performers. The experimental one-year term means we can quickly negotiate adjustments with Replica Studios should new circumstances come to light that warrant a change in terms, continued the union. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really agree with this. Personally, I feel like they should be very anti-AI here. I don't think that, like, look, my take is this. I feel like if you're going to make it an experimental one-year contract, blah, 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 I feel like a lot of game studios or game publishers are going to require in their contract that you have to agree to this AI stuff. It's not going to be something that's voluntary, in my opinion. It's going to be something that's enforced by these contracts that they require. I mean, think about how little VAs for video games are paid. Think about how often VAs are not credited on their work. I mean, VAs are oftentimes second-class citizens in these productions, and this does not really help. If game companies can use AI technology to get voice acting done, it's going to harm the industry no matter what, across the board, personally, in my opinion. That's just my take. But yeah, I don't like it. Not a fan of this. I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. I think that you should just pay voice actors. You should have an industry of voice actors so people can work. People can apply their trade. There are people who want to voice act who can't. As far as, I mean, if you could look online, you can see thousands of people out there who are like wanting to be voice actors, who have like sample voice acting out there, who are trying to get into projects, and making AI like easier than ever for people to access for video games, so that people don't pay for voice acting. Like it just kills the industry, in my opinion. It's really awful. I don't agree with it. Let's see, what other news do we have here? This one's some YouTube news. I'm not as familiar with this one, but I figured I'd cover it because it's kind of some bigger stuff going on. MatPat is stepping back from the game theorists. I've definitely always seen him in the periphery. Actually, I want to see if I can pull up his video here. Let me see here. We'll pull up a little. We'll watch a brief segment of it here.
It's not clickbait. On March 9th, I will be hosting my last Theory episode, at which point I will be handing off the channels to someone else. There it is. That's it. Send tweet. We're all done here. That's all you need to know, right? Oh, wow. Forgive me, by the way, if I'm a little bit more disorganized than usual. Normally, I would want to script out something like this pretty precisely. But with an announcement like this, I wanted to bring it back to just us. There's no one else in the room. There's no teleprompters. There's no nothing. It's just the way that this whole thing started. It's a conversation between us. And sorry,
I mean, it sounds pretty
that I keep
genuine.
getting emotional about this. I'll try not to, but it's
He's kind of an
deal.
institution
You
at
know,
this
like,
point.
If you think about it, this channel is Steph and my first child, really. Before we had Ollie, before we had Skip, Catbat, like, it was this. This was our baby. This channel has been going for 13 years. I think in total it's somewhere around like 1,200 theories. And only half of those are FNAF.
Gear says, all I know of them is the game theory is kind of dragged on and the dumb meme. So I don't really feel it. Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel it either. I'm not a game theorist fan, but 13 years, one of the biggest audiences on the platform. I think it's worth mentioning. Really crazy stuff. Gotta say, a lot of people have been stepping back from YouTube. MatPat is one of the most recent here. Another of YouTube's biggest creators is leaving. As MatPat has announced, he'll be taking a step back from the game theorists. Here we have the link right here. Oh my god, I should have just looked down the page here. He's been torturing Five Nights at Freddy's fans with ludicrous theory videos and predictions ever since 2009. My god in heaven, 2009. I mean, I remember 2009. This was just like a year after the financial crash. Like, fucking, I'm pretty sure Farmville was still fucking popping off. Like, YouTube was still a baby. But like, game theory has been going on for ages, and like, most of the theories are fucking horseshit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a lot of horseshit theories. We can make fun of so many of them. If we can just pull up a random one and just fucking laugh at how ridiculous it is. But still, it's an institution, and it's very interesting to see how many YouTubers are leaving at this point. I mean, Tom Scott. I remember Tom Scott is one that recently decided to take a step back. I mean, who else? Let's see here. I'm trying to remember who else is leaving. I mean, we are all getting older. Yes, we are all getting older. That is true. That is true. Let's see here. Trying to see if there's anybody else on this. We'll look up another article from Junkie. Oh god, yeah, Meat Canyon. Meat Canyon was only on here for like a couple years, but Meat Canyon was leaving. Joel Haver apparently is stepping back. No more short videos. No more short films off that. Stampy Longhead is apparently left the Minecraft stream or Minecraft channel. Gosh, who else? Apparently it's let's see, anyone else on here? I'm trying to see who else. Yeah, a lot of people though. A lot of big names. Most Gmod video guys have gotten over it unless they make money at it. That's so funny because I just posted a Gmod video very recently. So, hey, go check it out on YouTube if you haven't checked it out yet. I've got a Gmod video that I just posted, 30 minutes long. It's lunch break sized. But anyway, MatPat says he won't be fully leaving the game theorists. He's probably taking a position behind the scenes, leaving other people to host the channel. I'm sure he's probably just going to take a management role. I mean, that's what a lot of people do here is like, that's one of the things that you can kind of do is either you can take a step back and just like not do as many videos, or you become a manager and you like kind of just manage things from behind the scenes, let other people run the channel for you, and just kind of milk the money off of it for the rest of the time, for as long as the brand will survive. And some people do that, it works out for them. I mean, I can't blame you for making that kind of choice. Like it is kind of sad because like I'll use an example here. Like I used to watch Game Grumps a lot. I used to be kind of a Game Grumps fan. I used to love Danny and Arnold. Danny and Arnold were super funny. But I kind of stopped watching after a while because it just didn't really feel like it was that authentic anymore. They used to be kind of just the couch gamers. That's what I really liked about them, was they were just like, we're gonna sit on the couch, we're just gonna be couch gamers, we're gonna put a game on, we're gonna talk over it, we're gonna have a fun time. Eventually, though, it just kind of got really big. They had a big office. Like they upgraded offices, then they upgraded offices again. Then they started doing these like big projects. Like I don't fault them for this. I think it's great that they did these big projects. I think it's awesome. Like I would love the opportunity to be able to explore all of my ambitions and do cool big things for people. But it just got big and it got sprawling, and it just a lot of people joined in on it, and it just kind of diluted what made it engaging in the first place, in my opinion, which was that they were just fucking two dumbasses on a couch shit talking over a game, and that was the fun part about it. So I kind of moved off of it, and yeah, here says, yeah, when things formalize, the new thing magic goes away. And I wouldn't even say it's a new thing magic. I mean, I think you can establish a format, and that can be something that people really enjoy. That's what I'm talking about here. It's like Game Grumps had that format of like, we're on the couch, we're playing a game, and then we're gonna like stream a couple of it together as we're chatting. Sort of like what I do here, except like it's like bants between two or three people. And that was really fun. But then like but then it just blossomed off of there. They started doing live shows. They started like, you know, other people started doing their own like kind of couch gaming off of theirs that had like, they had a Steam Train, for example. You know, they started like having Rubber Ross on there, and he was doing his thing. And it stopped being new, but like they also kind of stopped focusing as much on like that original format, and they turned more of their attention towards the other stuff. And you know, that just happens, and people can still like that. It just didn't really feel like it was something that was good for me. You know, another example I'd make is like Rooster Teeth. It kind of felt like that. Rooster Teeth started with like Machinima, and then eventually they just kind of moved into brand territory. You know, they were like running Ruby, and like Red versus Blue evolved into its other shit, and like now they're a brand. You know, there's kind of a brand. They're not really like a Machinima studio anymore. It just changes. You know, things change with time, and you know, I'm glad that they get to explore these, you know, projects that they really like. But again, it's like I don't know. It's just it's not the same anymore, and it's not what I really care for personally. So you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. Here's another bit of gaming news that I wanted to cover that was interesting to me. We'll move on to another topic here. Eurogamer was reporting Ubisoft to fix Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown characters text-to-speech dialogue in future patch. So apparently they had a kerfuffle where get the hell out of here, Eurogamer. Thank you. Apparently they had a kerfuffle. Just to finish up on that last story here, Gear says, I hate to sound like an old fart talking to the young, but it's literally time goes on. It is time goes on. No, I agree. Time goes on, things change. You know, people burn out on projects and they move on. So no hate on anybody, but things just change. It is what it is. But anyway, I did want to cover this. Interesting story. So Ubisoft, awful, horrible company, sex abuse, cover-up apologist company, which is awful. I hate them. Look it up if you haven't already done so. They have had numerous sexual abuse and assault allegations made against them that they've tried to cover up in their company and they have done nothing about. Look it up. Anyway, Ubisoft, shitty, horrible company, is had a recent hilarious kerfuffle on a game that they've been trying to release, The Lost Crown, extension of Prince of Persia, where they left in text-to-speech generated dialogue and did not fill it in for one of their characters. Apparently they missed out on this. Did not. It's apparently for some character named Calyx, who's a tree spirit. Only gets a handful of lines throughout the game, but apparently they've been left with work in progress generated dialogue, which is just ridiculous if you think about it. Like, Gear says, shitty company, pretty good games, oddly enough. I mean, okay. Sometimes. Of course, some games... Look, is a broken clock right twice in a day? Yes, it is. But also, how many times are we going to get the same old fucking replica, like duplicate games of like fucking Assassin's Creed, for example, or like Far Cry or any of that shit? They just do the same thing over and over again with the fucking radio tower, large area crap that is not fun. Where they just like copy paste like the same old crap over and over again. It's not interesting and not engaging, in my opinion. And I'm not personally much of a fan of many Ubisoft games, although I have played a few that I like. You know, I mean, I used to really like Splinter Cell, for example, and I'm pretty sure that's a Ubisoft game. You know, Splinter Cell was really cool. I mean, there's some cool games in there. I mean, I hear Beyond Good and Evil is pretty good. You know, I'm not going to say there aren't some good games in there, but yeah, apparently they dismissed quality assurance. Which, again, I'm not knocking quality assurance on this, because let's face it, companies like this do not fund their quality assurance well, and regularly will lay them off, will not treat them well, will abuse them, will crunch them constantly. It's okay. I mean, I'm not blaming them. I feel like these people work really hard and don't get paid enough. Oh, here, look at this. Alex doesn't have an English voice actor mentioned in the credits. So it looks like it's not even an issue with QA. It looks like it's an issue with perhaps their like production, like the producer or with some sort of executive missing this and not noticing that they didn't have a voice actor for a character. It's so very funny. Oh my God. we have a tweet here. John Linneman says, this is very common for in development games, so it makes sense that a few lines slip through. I don't think this falls into the concerns around AI or anything. Yeah, I don't think it does either. I think that this is just something where they plugged it in and missed it. Apparently the game itself has been positively received, but, you know, that's something that's missed there. Hilarious little story, you know. I hope that the game itself is positive. People like it. I mean, seems to have a cool art style. I can't knock it, you know. 2.5D seems cool. I'm not knocking that, but just very funny. And again, fuck Ubisoft. Just wanted to point that one out because I don't think anyone's had a moment to mention that one yet. I haven't seen it. Let's see here. I'm gonna move away from video games a little bit. We'll move on to like more basic pop culture stuff. There's been a kind of a craze that's been going on in at least in America on TikTok. The Stanley Cup craze is a bit of a fad right now. CNN is reporting on it. Why do we love our special little cup so much? I don't know if you've seen these videos yet. I'll play at least one clip for you here. Hold on, I got to drink some water. Apparently, Stanley Cups have been like a big thing that people have been really excited about. Not the Stanley Cup for hockey. That's a different Stanley Cup. Stanley Cups that we're talking about here they're like a type of like vacuum seal kind of flask cup kind of thing. Hang on, I'll pull them up for you here. Stanley Cup, so you can look at them for people that are watching right now. They're kind of like, yeah, they're flask cups here. These are the more recent kind of Stanley Cup variation. They've got like a vacuum seal so that they can keep the drinks hot or cold. Where's the original? So no, not the original. World War II. It's like a World War II style one. Here we go, like this. So they kind of look like these. Get a good image here. I'll zoom in. There we go. They kind of look like this. They've got the kind of bullet shape. They kind of got like a green color to them. They got like a cup on top. They're vacuum sealed. It's kind of like you know, like construction worker like thermoses. You know, you go to the hollowed out like steel girder of a building. You climb up it with no safety equipment. You and your buddies are all hanging off the girder together, eating lunch and sipping your coffee. You know, it's sort of like that. But apparently it's been like really popping off lately. People have been really excited about them. They come in a lot of colors and shit like that. It's really just, I think, mostly a TikTok thing. But they're apparently like $45 to $55 a fucking pop just to get one of these cups. They've been selling out like crazy, apparently. Yeah, here we go. Quench your H2O tumbler. It's weird because recently it was like hydro flasks. Looks like a thermos to me. Yeah, it looks like it is a thermos. It's basically just like kind of like a fancy. It's like a basic bitch thermos is what it really is. I mean, they come with these straws so you can like, you know, have a straw with it so you can sip your like your fancy little iced coffee or whatever. But like they've been kind of popping off. There's actually a clip here. Hang on, I'm gonna find this clip here. One of the things that I think really triggered this like kind of craze was there was like a car fire that somebody had, and a Stanley Cup survived the car fire. Here, I'm gonna play that for you.
All right, taking a look at some trending news. You know, I love my Stanley Cup.
Oh my
People swear
God.
by these things, and apparently they can even survive a fire. Take a look.
Everybody's so concerned about if the Stanley spills. But what about if it melts? It was on fire yesterday. It still has ice in it.
I mean, that is pretty
unbelievable,
crazy.
and she was fine too, by the way. Okay.
That is pretty crazy. I mean, that is the power of a vacuum seal, you know. Here says, I suppose it's because people just need a new thing to be all over for. No, it's really just fucking consumerist crap. Like, you know, oh, it's the hot new thing that I gotta have because everyone's talking about it. Oh, it's on TikTok. It looks so cute, you know. Oh my God, it survived a fire, you know. Oh, I want to be hip, you know. Look, is it cool that it survived a car fire with ice still inside of it? Absolutely, that's awesome. I think that's so cool. But is that because it's a Stanley Cup? No, it's because many decades ago, people realized that if you put a vacuum around a cup and you put like if you do a double layered cup and you put a vacuum inside of it, it'll keep the interior of the cup colder or hotter for far longer. And that's a very cool scientific principle that I think is really neat, but it doesn't make the cup cool. Just saying, doesn't make the cup cool. All right, but anyway, I think that rounds out some of the pop culture review for now. So we're going to move on to some questions, I think. I think that's what we're going to do here. So give me just a second as I get my questions together.
You've got questions, we've got answers. Tell them, Kahtide.
Right, let's do it. All right, everybody. I like to close out our show with a segment I call Questions with Kahtide. I take questions from the chat, as well as anonymously submitted questions that have been sent in by the audience. So if you would like to submit a question, you can either spend your channel points, or chips, is what they're called in our channel here, to submit a question live on Twitch during the show, or you can visit the Coffee with Kahtide Google form that's in my links here to submit anonymously at any time. Remember, don't submit bigoted or distasteful questions, or you will face my wrath. And by wrath, I mean I will delete your question and or ban you. So be nice. Other than that, feel free to ask a question, especially if you're looking for advice on life, love, and labor, or if you just want to ask me a question about something and about my opinion on something. I'm always happy to answer that too. So we do have a few anonymous questions here that I'm going to follow up on. We'll start there. Okay, I guess this does feel relevant because we did talk a lot of politics today, but here's one anonymous question. Do you think that politics and international stuff is going to get better? It seems to be getting worse and worse every day, and it's hard to have hope. Sad face, sad emoticon. Sorry to hear that you've been struggling with that sentiment there, my friend. That is always a difficult place to be. Yeah, it does feel like, politically speaking, things are getting very difficult out there. I have to agree. I mean, we have a number of crises in Israel. We have in Ukraine, in Africa. I think if I'm not mistaken, with the Congo. There's tensions in places like China and Taiwan. There's tensions between Russia and Europe. There's tensions between Russia and America, and China and America, and there's a variety of problems going across the world. I mean, there's a number of environmental issues, earthquakes, like freak storms. I'm dealing with a sudden cold snap in my area that's been affecting things. It just hit really hard and it's been very cold. Things always happen, but you got to think about it this way. First of all, it's good to have a historical perspective. If you think about historically speaking, times have never been better. I mean, it's hard to say that, but times have never been better. More people are alive, more people are fed, more people are free of illness, more people have access to technology and information than ever before. More people have better outcomes for their lives. More people can have the opportunity to not have to toil constantly and have the ability to live some level of leisure, or to pursue something that perhaps might be frivolous in a society that is more impoverished. So in many ways we are better off than we could ever be, but in many ways we are also suffering from a number of problems, and I think it really has to do with the fact that we're on the cusp of a transition point. I think if you think about Marx has, if I'm not mistaken, Marx has talked about this in many writings of, having this kind of transitional process of going from a pre-agrarian to an agrarian society to then kind of like a feudalist structure of lordship and kings, and then moving on past that to a kind of capitalist framework where, the means of production is owned by the few and the many are laborers under that. And then I think he speaks about it transitioning from that point to a wider model to a greater model of socialism and communism. And I think that this is kind of the point we're at, there was a need for the world to industrialize, to develop technologies, to develop the means to give people life-saving technology, drugs, support, to have a greater understanding of like the emotional and social framework of how humanity is structured, to give people more access to one another, to more information. These sorts of elements, I think, are needed in order to be able to then progress to the next step in society, to human society. As more people gain information, as more people gain access to information and to connect to globally, I think that what that means is that more people have the ability to pool their resources, to pool their talents, to strive together in political movements together. It gives people it gives people the ability to pull the curtain back. They get to see how their governments are actually acting if they're curious enough to look into it. And we can generate that curiosity, I think, if we work together. If people are curious enough to look into it, they can start to see their government failing them. They can start to see other alternatives. And those alternatives can be presented to them, and they can start to work together communally. And I think, really, we are at that cusp here of, like, capitalism is failing. Capitalism is come to the point where too much wealth has been accumulated by too few. Too many have too little, and not enough people can feed themselves. Not enough people can house themselves. Too many people are struggling with addiction. Too many people are dying on the street. It's going to reach a turning point where it's no longer acceptable to the masses, where it can no longer be stomached, and some revolutionary action will need to start to happen. And I'm not trying to be talking about like accelerationist or anything like that. I'm not saying that we need to throw wrenches into the gears to make suffering even worse for people. I think what we need to do is work together to share this message and to share knowledge and to try and spread these ideals to one another and to build community. I think that's the way that this works, is that by sharing that community, sharing it together, to work together with one another, to reach out across not just the aisle, politically speaking, in terms of our own country, but also to reach out internationally to other people and to build coalitions across international lines. Because there are other people out there in these countries who are also suffering, who see what's going on, who work and strive and struggle valiantly to try and to stop this problem, to stop the problems that occur in their own backyard and worldwide. We need to work together here. It's really the biggest thing. And we need to share this knowledge and to spread this. And I hope in my own small way, I can spread a little bit of information to people, give people a perspective they might not hear normally, give people news that they might not hear normally. I think that's important. So I think in some small way I can do my part, and I hope I can increase my reach there. And that's where I hope viewers here can help spread some of my work out to people, because I think that would really, it would be really helpful or I don't know. I hope it can be helpful. I hope I can help by spreading some of my opinions here. But anyway, I think that's where we're at. We're in a turning point. We live in interesting times, you could say. And that is definitely a curse. But in a way, it's also a blessing, because that way means that we can be a part of these interesting times and do important things. Think about how many people lived in the civil rights era, for example. And those were interesting times. People died. People suffered greatly. There were horrible moments during that period, but they made names for themselves and achieved things and stuck their necks out and did things for each other, and there was a form of unity, and there was a form of coalition building at that time. And I think this is a similar time where we need to build coalition, where we need to come together and to share art and to speak loudly and to say that the things that are happening around us are not acceptable. We need to try and transition into that socialist framework, because ultimately, now that we've had that growing pains, what we've achieved that growth that we need, but we're suffering from our growth as well. We need to degrow. We need to focus our technologies and our industries towards better things and to help one another. We need to reprioritize what matters. It's not profit, it's people. And I think once we do that, and once we focus our knowledge and our technology and our abilities towards improving human life and not improving the bottom line who are shareholders, things are going to get better. So don't lose hope. Just remember that things, people have lived through horrible times before and will continue to live through awful times, but we can do this. We can get through it if we build coalition and if we work together and if we don't lose faith and if we just reach out to one another and be there. It can change. It can definitely change. So don't lose faith, my friend. I'm sorry to hear that you've struggled out there, but don't lose faith. Okay, I do actually need to use the bathroom really quickly. I'm going to do a quick intermission, but we'll follow up with a couple more questions. Do stay here with me as we do that little bit of intermissioning. Thank you everybody who's tuned in so far. Thank you, Gear Joe, as well, for all the commentary. Appreciate it. We'll be here in just a moment. So thanks everybody. Stay tuned. Thanks for sticking around, folks. I'm back off that intermission, and we're going to do a couple more questions here before we round out the show. Oop, slide. Sorry. There we go. Whoopsie. Hey, everybody, I'm back. Okay, more questions. Thank you. Boy, having to empty your bladder just throws you off, doesn't it? Anyway, let's see here. Next question. We have another anonymous question here. I've been stuck indoors with my roommates for the last few days thanks to the snowstorm, and they're driving me crazy. What should I do to deal with them until the snow is gone and I can leave? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, anonymous question asker. I understand. I, myself, have a significant amount of snow out in front of my house. So I have been stuck at home too, so I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Cabin fever can be pretty bothersome. So it definitely depends on where you're at and what the size of your location is, I think. But in my opinion, I would say, um, here's a few things. Okay, so the first thing is going to be like a boundaries thing. So that's really about like you being like clear, like, and not mean, not rude to your roommates or anything like that, but clear to your roommates. Hey, I'm feeling a little claustrophobic, socially speaking, or like, hey, I need a little bit of room to myself. Would it be all right if you gave me some space, please? Just be polite about it. Just be like, hey, I need space in these ways. Try and be clear about what you need, like what your requirements are. If you need to work on something and you need quiet, for example, maybe be like, hey, can we have quiet from this time to this time? We would really appreciate it. It's really about like kind of setting those boundaries and setting those, like requesting that kind of boundary be followed, if it's something that's really important, and also being willing to like kind of compromise, because like obviously other people will probably feel similarly to you if they're feeling like stuck inside. I that would be what I would say, is like kind of setting those boundaries, kind of respecting one another's space. In terms of like what you can actually do, I mean, obviously headphones and music are a great way to kind of distance yourself in one way. I mean, if you can go to separate rooms, that's one way to do it. Obviously, maybe one person keeps the living room, like takes up the living room to do something. One person takes the bedroom. One person like takes the kitchen, something like that. You could try and like coordinate together for things like showers, for example. I know sometimes here at my house we have like a backlog on the shower, because like one person's taking it and another person's taking it, and then the hot water runs out. Another person has to wait an hour to take their shower. So sometimes you just it helps to like plan that out and like be like, hey, I need this, that, blah, 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 maybe what you could do is like, if someone's like, maybe you could like offer to like cook dinner, for example, and be like, hey, if I cook dinner, can I get this? If you need something like that, might be a little bit of a big ask for people. You could be like, hey, I'll do dinner if folks can be like willing to do this for me. You could try and like offer things and like make an exchange, but like, I think that's the best way to kind of navigate the kind of perils of like cabin fever with roommates, is like a lot of communication, being really clear, trying to be as patient as you can, making as much space as possible for yourself so that you can kind of step away from one another if you need to, without it being like perceived as rude or resentful or anything like that. I mean, plenty of space apart, but occasionally coming together for fun activities, I think, is a great way to do things too. You could be apart for most of the day, but then come together in the evening for like a board game or like a video game event or something like that. Or D&D, for example, is always a great thing to do when you're like stuck inside. Things like that, I think I would recommend. Lots of space, but coming together to do fun stuff. I mean, I try to pretend that it's like you're being isolated in a spaceship or something, and you have to be like, okay, we're all stuck in the spaceship. None of us wants to turn into the Among Us killer and start going crazy. So let's all just like take it easy. We're gonna all like be patient with one another and try to think the best of one another in this circumstance, since it is a cramped situation. And we're all going to give each other space and come together when we need to work on stuff. I think it's sort of like that sort of a situation. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of my take here. Is like you want to kind of give people room, but have community. Because I don't know if that sounds weird, but I hope that helps. Hope that helps you out. And always remember, that snowstorm's going to melt soon. You're going to be able to get out of that house soon. So just don't forget about that and hold that thought. That'll keep you grounded. Here's a fun question, another anonymous funny question. What is the opposite of fire? Is it water? I feel like this is a reference to that Mary-Kate and Ashley meme from that, like, what is that, clickhole quote meme. The opposite of fire is not fire. It's not water. That might be the perception of, like, elementally speaking. And yeah, I think if we're talking about classical elements, fire and water are opposites, yes. But the opposite of fire is not fire. It's like non-fire. It's non-combustion, because fire is merely the state of combustion. So if something is not combusting, there's no fire. I hope that helps you, anonymous question asker. Oh boy. Okay, I think we'll do let's see about doing one more. We'll do one more. Let me take a look here. Okay, here's one that is another. We have one more anonymous question here. I think that we can answer. I have a decent job and I am making decent money, but I'm having a hard time saving. I can't seem to keep any money. Between bills and rent, I have a little bit left over, but I feel like it's hard not to eat out or spend money on fun stuff. What can I do here? Okay, thank you for the question, anonymous question asker. I appreciate it. So I definitely can relate. I've been in a similar position to you here. I have a decent job as well. I'm making money, paying off bills, things like that. But it can definitely also be hard to save. So you always have to account for the fact. First of all, you got your bills, you got your rent. Always going to take a chunk out of that paycheck. That's always going to be at least like a 1 or 2 paychecks worth of your month right there that you're going to have to deal with. So that sucks, and that sucks a lot. But then you got another 2 weeks of paychecks worth of stuff, and that's again going to be taken up by a few expenses because you're going to have to buy your food unless you're lucky enough to have food stamps to cover things, if that's available in your area, some kind of food assistance. But yeah, you're going to have to pay for food. You're going to have to pay for gas. If you got a car, you're going to have to pay for car gas. You're going to have to pay for insurance. You're going to have to pay for lots of stuff like that. There's like incidentals that you want to buy, fun stuff that you want to pay for, places that you're going to go in the month. So it gets hard. It's tough to save, it's tough to save stuff. So I can definitely relate to you. So, I mean, there's not that much advice. In some ways, there's not that much advice I can give you. In some ways, there is advice I can give you. Hang on, I need some water. I should have like a little water button that I post up so I can like have a little water icon that goes up. That'd be really funny. Anyway, I mean, obviously, one thing you can do is to try and cut back on going out. That does suck a lot. I can relate. Like, I like to be able to go out and get a little bit of food or go get some drinks with somebody. Cutting back on that is always good, though. Cooking at home with cheaper ingredients is always good. Obviously, I mean, there's only so far you can really go with that kind of saving. I mean, you can try and see if there's things you can cut out. Like, for example, I had a car for a while and my car broke down and it was going to be way too expensive to fix it. So I just sold it. And now I just do bike and I do foot. I go on foot. I take the bus. I mean, I live in a municipal area, so I have the ability to do that. Not everyone has the ability to do that. But if that's an option, I would maybe suggest that. It's like cars, for example, are such an investment and they cost so much, not only for the initial purchase, but gas, oil changes, tire changes, registration, insurance, all that stuff costs a lot. So like if you can afford to not have a car and you can just like truck it with a bike or walking or public transport, do that. That definitely saves a lot of money. I started being able to put away more money because I got rid of the car and the insurance. Let's see. I mean, what else can I really recommend? Sometimes what can happen is like you have friends that end up wanting to like get stuff and you feel compelled to pay for it. Maybe don't feel compelled to pay for it. Maybe like be like, hey, I can't afford it right now. Like if somebody's like, oh, I wish I had this, just be like, oh, I would wish I could get that for you, but I can't afford it. Just say that. Like just do that. It's okay to be like, I can't afford something. I'm too poor. I can't afford something. Maybe you could even be like, hey, oh, I wish I could get that too. Gotta save money though, and you can try kind of bat away the possibility of having to like cover someone. Not that I'm saying don't cover people. Like, I think it's great to be able to cover your friends and help them out and stuff. I love doing that personally. I try to help people out if I can. But if you're trying to save money and it's just a problem, like maybe try and do that. Just be like, hey, I know I'm usually able to cover you more often, but I'm kind of running out of money right now. I need to save up for this thing that I'm working on, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, that's really the thing I can recommend. I mean, other than getting a job that pays more, which good luck right now. I mean, I would love that for you if you can get that. But Not always easy. But yeah, it's tough out there, and I empathize with you. I'm trying to get my grind on. I think a lot of people are trying to get their grind on to make that cash, and you know, as Hassan says, get your money up, not your funny up. I love being funny, but my funny is way sky high, so I need to get my money up. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, good luck out there, friend. Hope you get that cash. Good luck on saving. Try and take care of yourself out there. You know, it's good to take care of others, and it's good to take care of yourself. But if you can try and save some and cut in places, try doing that if you can, just for a little bit. But remember what makes life worth living. Remember what makes life worth living, and don't forget it, because that's the curse of capitalism. Is that sometimes you'll just feel compelled to save, and you won't feel compelled to take care of yourself. Just save until you got what you need. Until you're in a secure place, and then try and treat yourself more, treat others more if you can. Okay. Anyway, that's the advice for now. I think that I have for you. Thank you everybody who submitted anonymous questions. We're gonna wrap up the show here. So much love to everybody who was on here. Thank you for Gear Joe and everybody else, for recent followers as well. Thank you for Sordier for the gifted sub recently. Otaku Nerd 9001, Vimagor, Mr. Knight. Thank you for those recent follows. Much appreciated. That's our show. It's always great to spend time with you here. Today's been no exception, but like all good things, even our time together must end, if only for a little bit. I would strongly be in favor of you sharing this show with people. I really hope that we can get the reach of Coffee with Kahtide out there further to other folks. So do check it out on Spotify. Share the show, like, comment, subscribe. You know, if you really like it, it would mean the world to me. Small creators need a lot of support, and I'm one of those small creators, and we all need to start somewhere. So if you can get that name out there and tell people about Kahtide, that would be really awesome. And yeah, also go check out my recent YouTube video for Gmod. It's pretty cool. I feel like I did a pretty good job on it, so go take a look if you haven't checked it out yet. But yeah, lastly, thanks to our live audience, our Spotify listeners, our VOD enjoyers, and to everyone else enjoying the show. Finished up, already did the call out, so thank you for everyone I called out there. You're awesome for joining the Kahtide crew. Have a great one, everybody. And be sure to tune in for more Kahtide content on Saturdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing a new game next week. Haven't settled on one yet, but we're going to be doing a new one. So we'll see you on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Well, looks like that's our show, folks. Until next time.